I, 24 years old, was born intersex. However, we weren't aware of it until I was a teenager and hormones and the like happened. I changed my name and started using neutral pronouns and terms for myself. I legally changed my name and my ID info once I was an adult. Some immediately respected it, others took time, but eventually everyone got there. Everyone but my mom. I was the daughter my mom prayed for, the one named after my grandparents, an issue in itself. And her baby. She still refers to me by my old name and calls me her daughter when introducing me. Many of her friends had only known me through her. I finally got to meet some of them in person at a potluck, and of course, used my legal name when introducing myself, but otherwise didn't say anything. Eventually, my little cousin asked why they kept calling me a girl when I wasn't one. They asked what she meant, and my sister spoke up and told them I wasn't a girl, and that the name they used wasn't my legal name anymore. After some more questions, she told them about me being born intersex, and that I'd never been a girl. Some of them came over to ask me, and I confirmed it. One of them asked if my mom just had special permission from me to refer to me differently. I told them she didn't, and I've made her aware for years that it makes me uncomfortable. She used to have permission to call me my birth name, as long as she referred to me correctly, but she never used them and was rude. So she lost that privilege, though it never stopped her. They asked me why she still calls me it if it's not correct, and it makes me uncomfortable. So I told them the truth. She chose to call me a liar and not believe the doctors, because it would mean I wasn't the daughter she wanted and prayed for. They asked me why she called me a liar, and I explained that I had questioned my gender growing up, because I never felt like a girl. But my mom always told me she would only ever believe in biology and not refer to me as anything other than what I was biologically born as. When doctors told her, without a doubt, that I was not born male or female and what was on my birth certificate was inaccurate, she said I was somehow making this all up and getting the doctors to believe my lies, despite the fact that they never knew I questioned my gender and that they determined it from a physical exam. She demanded to see for herself, despite me being a teenager, and told me not allowing her to inspect was proof of my lies. Since then, her friends are mostly upset with her, though a few are defending her. Mom is pissed at me for telling her friends, even though they're the ones who asked. Plus, I have always told her that I would not lie if someone ever asked me any questions. Mom and some others think I'm TA for this. So to Reddit, am I the idiot for telling my mom's friends the truth about why she refers to me differently than everyone else? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. You haven't done a single thing here to make you the jerk. You have been upfront and honest about the situation. You don't have a responsibility to paint your mom in a better light. Love that you have a sister who supports you, and that even some of your mom's friends do as well, despite your mom's feelings. I'm sorry, you don't have the kind of parent you deserve. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Dear freaking God, I am so sorry. That is truly awful. What your mom is doing is terrible. You are obviously under no obligation to go along with your mother's fantasy world. The fact that she's placing her own idealistic fantasy above your well-being is horrendous. Now for the update. Hey Reddit, a lot has happened since my last post, and I've got to tell you, it's been a wild couple of weeks. After the potluck incident, things with my mom reached a boiling point. I thought the confrontation with her friends might have been a wake-up call, but it only seemed to make her dig her heels in deeper. She's been doubling down on calling me her daughter and using my old name, almost like she's trying to erase who I am. But let's rewind a bit. You see, my mom has always been the type to hold on to her beliefs with an iron grip. When I was a kid, she was the one who signed me up for ballet and bought me dresses, even though I'd always gravitate towards the toy cars and action figures. It was like she had this image of me that she refused to let go of, no matter what I said or did. Now fast forward to the present, and it's like I'm living in a soap opera. My sister, who's always been my rock, tried to mediate a conversation between my mom and me. She reminded my mom of the time when I was 12, and I broke down crying because I didn't want to wear a dress to a family event. My sister thought that bringing up these memories might help my mom see things from my perspective. But instead of understanding, my mom lashed out. She accused my sister of taking my side and betraying her. It was a mess, and the argument ended with my mom storming out and my sister in tears. In the midst of all this, my aunt, mom's sister, reached out to me. She's always been more open-minded and had quietly supported me over the years. She told me that she had a long talk with my mom, trying to get her to see reason. My aunt even brought up how, when I was a teenager, I confided in her about my struggles with my identity. She tried to explain to my mom that this wasn't a phase or a choice, but a part of who I am. But my mom wouldn't budge. She told my aunt that she felt like she was losing her daughter, that the child she raised was being taken away from her. My aunt tried to explain that I was still the same person, just happier and more myself. But my mom just couldn't accept it. Now here's where things get even more complicated. One of my mom's friends, let's call her Karen, decided to take it upon herself to fix things. Karen has always been a bit of a busybody, and she's one of the few who still sided with my mom after the potluck. She cornered me at the grocery store and started going on about how family is everything and that I should forgive my mom and go back to being her little girl. I was stunned. I tried to explain to Karen that it wasn't about forgiveness, that I couldn't just change who I am. But she wasn't having any of it. She told me that I was being selfish and that I should think about how my mom feels. The confrontation with Karen left me shaken, and I ended up calling my best friend, who's been my support system through all of this. They reminded me of how far I've come, of the days when I was too scared to even talk about my identity, let alone live it. They told me that I couldn't let anyone, not even my mom, take that away from me. But just when I thought things couldn't get more intense, my mom did something unexpected. She showed up at my apartment, unannounced, with a photo album. She sat down and started flipping through pictures of me as a child, pointing out how happy I looked in the dresses she picked out, how I was her beautiful little girl. I felt like I was being torn in two. Here was my mom, showing a rare moment of vulnerability, but still not seeing me for who I am. I tried to keep my cool and explain to her, yet again, that those pictures didn't tell the whole story, that the smiles were often forced, that I was playing a part to make her happy. And then, the misunderstanding happened. My mom looked at me, tears in her eyes, and said, "So you did all of this, changed your name, your identity, just to hurt me?" I was floored. How could she think that my journey was about her? I tried to explain that it wasn't about her at all, that it was about me being true to myself. But she just couldn't understand. She left my apartment that day, still convinced that I had somehow orchestrated this entire thing as a way to get back at her for some unknown slight. So now, here I am, trying to pick up the pieces. My mom's friends are split between supporting her and being upset with her. My sister is caught in the middle, trying to support me while also dealing with our mom's emotions. And I'm just trying to live my life, despite the drama that seems to follow me wherever I go. Sil asks me for my skincare routine and then insults me for looking younger. Oh boy, she's in for a surprise. This incident happened Saturday, and it was sort of a boiling point for me. But first, some background. I, 27-year-old female, married my husband Jay, 27-year-old male, 2 years ago, and we have been together for 8 years. Jay's older sister Mia, 30-year-old female, and I have had a difficult relationship from the beginning. It seemed like we might get along well at first and be close, because she seemed nice and we had some things in common. But she also made 1 or 2 jokes about my appearance that left me a little unsure. Jay told Mia she wasn't being kind, and he would not tolerate her disrespecting me. She went out of her way to include me after that, and introduced me to her friends, and planning to hang out with me more. But she would often tense around me and would joke up and down that it was like hanging out with a teenager. This is because I look younger. Mia feels like she looks old and is very insecure about her appearance and her perceived age. For some time now, Mia has told me I need to share my skincare routine and share the youthful secret. I have always told her the same thing. I have always been willing to share the few products I use, but I don't use much at all, and I am honest about that. I have never been 100% faithful to a product either. If money is tight, I go for whatever's cheap. But I do have my go-tos. She has never believed me, and it is frustrating. On to Saturday night. Mia was celebrating her 30th birthday with the girls, which meant her friends and some of the female family members she's close to, and me. It was going fine until I got carded at the bar. Mia brought up how ridiculous it is for me to look like I'm 18 at 27, and how lucky I am. Then she accused me of gatekeeping my secrets, and not wanting others to have the same luck. Some of the family lightheartedly pointed out how frustrating it must be for me to have people doubt my age to the point of arguments sometimes. And yes, this has happened a few times. Mia said I should share what I used. I was getting tired of her outburst at this point, so I told them and even brought up pictures. Mia called me a compulsive liar and said I was selfish and spoiled and how I should learn to be a better family member and friend. She also brought up that I am trying to make her feel bad by always getting carded when I go out anywhere with her. She accused me of being anti-woman girl and being the worst kind of woman. I lost it at this point and told her just because she was insecure about aging and looking her age and not being 18 anymore didn't mean I had to sit there and take it. I told her she is a 30-year-old woman and to be proud she gets to celebrate aging instead of acting like a petulant child. I left straight after because I was so done. She was furious and has harassed Jay since telling him I was a jerk to her and I owe her an apology. He disagrees with Mia and told her as much, but I do feel bad. Am I the idiot? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Your sister-in-law is crazier than a one-legged toad. I used to get carded for lottery tickets well into my early 40s. Having 4 grandchildren has apparently done away with my youthful demeanor these days. My secret was no alcohol, no cigarettes, very little fast food, going to the gym, and using Olay moisturizer sunscreen on my face 3 times a day. Just don't subject yourself to any voluntary outings with her. And next time she starts her jealous behavior, tell her Botox and Juvederm are quite cheap these days. Send her a Groupon link, not the jerk. Comment 2. Not the jerk. Ask Jay exactly how long you were expected to tolerate her abuse, because that light-hearted joking transitioned to abuse a while ago, and now it's very obvious she needed a reality check. And now you also have her family on your side. They might not have expressed it in the moment, but you do have them on your side now. However, it would have been best to deal with the situation on a day other than her birthday. We don't always get to choose our breaking point, though. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the comments on my last post. I really appreciated the support and advice. I've got an update for you all. And let me tell you, things have taken a turn I never expected. So, after the whole birthday bar incident with Mia, things were tense. Jay was firmly on my side, which I was grateful for, but it was clear Mia wasn't going to let this go. She had always been the type to hold a grudge, and this time was no different. Jay and I have been through a lot together, and he's always been my rock. We met in college, and he was the one who helped me through some tough times with my family. He's always been protective of me, especially when it comes to Mia. Now, Jay and Mia's relationship has always been a bit complicated. They're siblings, sure, but they've never been super close. Mia has always been the more dominant one, and Jay, well, he's more laid back. But when it comes to me, he doesn't back down. He's told me stories about how Mia used to boss him around when they were kids, and it seems like not much has changed. Anyway, back to the update. On Monday, Mia called me out of the blue. I was surprised, to say the least, but I answered, thinking maybe she wanted to apologize. Boy, was I wrong. She started off by saying she had been doing some thinking and that she wanted to clear the air. But then, she dropped a bombshell. She claimed that she had proof I was lying about my skincare routine and that I had been getting secret treatments behind everyone's back. I was floored. Not only was this completely untrue, but the fact that she had concocted this whole story just to make me look bad was unbelievable. I asked her what proof she had, and she said she had seen receipts from a high-end dermatology clinic. I knew right away this was a lie because I've never been to one in my life. I confronted Jay about it, and he was just as shocked as I was. He couldn't believe Mia would go to such lengths to try and discredit me. He decided to talk to Mia himself to try and get to the bottom of it. That's when things got even crazier. Jay came back from his talk with Mia looking like he'd seen a ghost. He told me that Mia had admitted to making up the whole story about the dermatology clinic. But that wasn't all. She had also confessed to him that she was jealous of our relationship and how happy we were. She felt like she was always in our shadow, and she wanted to cause a rift between us to make herself feel better. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Mia, who had been a part of our lives for so long, was trying to sabotage our marriage out of jealousy. It was like a punch to the gut. Jay was furious with her, and they ended up having a huge argument. He told her that she had crossed a line and that she needed to apologize to both of us. But Mia wasn't done yet. In a last-ditch effort to hurt us, she revealed that she had been the one to spread rumors about me in our friend group. Rumors that I was stuck up and thought I was better than everyone else because of my looks. It was a low blow, and it explained some of the weird vibes I had been getting from some of our mutual friends. The confrontation between Jay and Mia was intense. He had never stood up to her like that before, and it was clear that their relationship would never be the same. As for me, I was just trying to process everything. I had always known Mia was insecure, but I never imagined she would go this far. In the end, Mia stormed out, and we haven't heard from her since. Jay and I have been trying to pick up the pieces and figure out where we go from here. It's been a rough few days, and I'm still in shock over the whole thing. I never wanted any of this to happen, but I guess sometimes you really see someone's true colors when they're backed into a corner. Will's first wife died in childbirth, but now her family thinks I'm trying to replace her as mom. Oh boy, do I have a plan for them. I desperately need outside perspective. I have been married to my husband Will for 3 years now, dated for 2. Before me, Will was married to his high school sweetheart Anna for 3 years. Tragically, Anna died during the birth of their child, a little boy they named Damien. I met Will 3 years later. He was my older cousin's college friend. Will wasn't looking for a relationship, but we somehow hit it off. I met Damien 2 months into making our relationship official. I love the little one with all my heart, and he is just the sweetest little man in the world, always smiling and happy and polite. I would say I fell in love with Damien first and Will later. His parents and siblings were happy for Will and I, and always thanked me for being there for Damien. Anna's family, however, did not like me. They thought Will was moving too fast, and that I wasn't a good influence on Damien. For context, I'm Muslim, and Anna's family are very strict Catholics. Their attitude towards me kept getting worse as Damien began getting more comfortable with me as a constant presence in his life. And because he was so young and Anna's family lived kind of far away, they weren't much of an influence in Damien's life. Will did take Damien to visit them once every month, but as a young kid, he obviously preferred his dad, and later me. I want to have kids later, in my 30s, so for much of his childhood, Damien will be my only child of sorts. And as a result, we got really close, and he started calling me Mama. This enraged Anna's family, as they felt like Will and I were trying to erase Anna from Damien's life. That wasn't true, but you couldn't really explain the concept of a stepmother to a 5, 6, or 7-year-old. Damien would get upset whenever someone said I wasn't his real mom, and so I requested others to stop mentioning Anna until Damien was a little bit older. When I made this request, not only were Anna's family members enraged, but Will's siblings also agreed, and said I was trying to take Anna's place, and that it would be a very jerk thing to do. But I don't think I'm being cruel or mean by trying to be a good mother figure to Damien and think of his feelings. Like, Anna is gone, but Damien is the one here right now. Shouldn't his feelings/thoughts matter more? Am I being manipulative in any way? Am I the idiot? Thanks for all the feedback. If Reddit taught me anything, it's that I won't ever be anywhere near Anna's place in Damien's life. I'll admit, hearing it from strangers made Will and Anna's family's POV feel less vindictive, so at least now I know it's not personal. I've decided to talk with Damien today and ask him to stop referring to me by any maternal title. He has his entire family on both sides to help him feel close to his real mother and explain why she's not here, and he's stuck with me. I have decided to ask Will to maybe take Damien to see a therapist and see why Anna's mentioning makes him so uncomfortable. Maybe his dad and professionals can make better sense of his feelings and deal with them better than I can. I had no issues being just Amy for nearly 5 years. I'll be fine with it for the rest of time. I'll call and apologize to the other family members too if Will wants that. I want to wash my hands off this mess as soon as possible. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I was with you until this. I requested others to stop mentioning Anna until Damien was a little bit older. Now, it does sound like you're trying to erase Anna, whether you meant it to come across that way or not. You're not an AH for Damien calling you mama, but to ask other people to essentially pretend like Anna never existed is incredibly unfair, especially on her family. Comment 2. Not the idiot for trying to be a good mother for Damien. Soft TA for trying to cut the memories of Anna out of his life. A 7-year-old boy gets the meaning of a stepmother, or of, I have a mother in heaven and one who takes care of me. Do not erase Anna from his life. But be open with this as much as it is appropriate for his age and let him have 2 mommies. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for sticking around for my last post. I really needed that outside perspective, and your comments have been eye-opening. Here's what's been happening since then. After I read your comments, I had a long talk with Will. I told him about my decision to step back and let Damien decide what he wants to call me. Will was quiet for a long time. And then he said something that really surprised me. He told me that he always saw me as Damien's mom, even if I wasn't his biological mother. That hit me hard because I never knew he felt that way. We decided to talk to Damien together. We sat him down and explained that he could call me whatever he felt comfortable with, whether it was Amy or something else. Damien looked at us, his little face scrunched up in confusion, and then he said, "But you are my mom, Amy. You take care of me like a mom does." It was a moment that made my heart swell, but it also made things more complicated. The next day, Will's sister, Emily, came over. She had always been kind to me, but I could tell something was off. She sat me down and told me that she had overheard her parents talking about how they felt I was trying to replace Anna. Emily said she didn't agree with them and that she saw how much I loved Damien. It was a relief to hear that, but it also made me realize how deep the divide was within the family. Meanwhile, Anna's family had been growing colder. They didn't like that Damien was so attached to me. They wanted him to remember his mother, Anna, and they felt like I was standing in the way of that. It was a tough situation because I never wanted to erase Anna's memory. I just wanted Damien to be happy. Things came to a head when Anna's parents showed up unannounced one weekend. They demanded to take Damien to visit Anna's grave, something they had never done before. Will was hesitant, but he didn't want to cause a scene. I stayed back, feeling like an outsider in my own home. When they returned, Damien was quiet and withdrawn. It was clear the visit had upset him. That night, he had a nightmare and came to our room, crying. He climbed into bed with us, and I held him until he fell asleep. It was a reminder of how much he needed us both. The next day, I received a call from Anna's sister, Maria. She was furious, accusing me of manipulating Damien and trying to make him forget his mother. I was shocked by her anger. I tried to explain that wasn't my intention, but she wouldn't listen. Will and I decided it was time to seek professional help for Damien. We found a therapist who specialized in blended families and grief. After a few sessions, the therapist suggested that Damien was attaching to me because I was a constant presence in his life, and that it was a natural response for a child his age. The therapist also helped us understand that it was okay for Damien to have a connection with me without it taking away from his love for Anna. It was a breakthrough for us, and it seemed like things were starting to get better. But then, the misunderstanding happened. Will's brother, who had always been on the fence about me, overheard a conversation I had with the therapist. He thought I was trying to convince the therapist to tell Damien to forget about Anna. That couldn't have been further from the truth. Will's brother confronted me, his face red with anger. I was stunned, trying to explain that he had misunderstood, but he wouldn't hear it. He stormed out, and I was left feeling helpless and frustrated. I told Will about the confrontation, and he was furious. He said he would talk to his brother and set things straight. But the damage was done. The rumor spread through the family like wildfire, and I was once again the villain in their eyes. Will did talk to his brother, and after a long discussion, his brother realized he had jumped to conclusions. He apologized to me, but the tension in the family was still there. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.